Hey guys, welcome to this week's video and happy Pride Month. I've noticed in the media and in social media posts lately that there have been a lot of posts and articles about the history of the LGBTQ movement. And it's been really nice to see there be more honoring and recognition of the diversity of folks who have paved the way for us to be where we are today. And it got me thinking about celebrating our history and in the importance of doing that. And a perspective I'd like to explore today is the importance of honoring and celebrating our personal histories and how that strengthens us, how we're all connected, so that when we celebrate our own histories, when we learn to look at the strength and resilience that has helped us overcome our personal challenges, that strengthens us, and then it strengthens the community as well. And so celebrating our own histories is really affirming our history as a community. Celebrating our personal history doesn't mean that we have to throw a pride parade for ourselves, although that's not the worst idea that I've heard. But it does mean that we can develop an understanding of our history, and we can give ourselves credit for the things that have challenged us in the past, and the strength and the resilience, the creativity, and the courage that has brought us personally to where we are today. So I'll share with you some of my personal history, and I have to acknowledge that celebrating myself and celebrating my history publicly is not an easy thing for me to do. But it's an important thing for me to do because I want you to do it too. And remember that we're all connected. So if I do it, it strengthens me and it strengthens our community. If you do it, it does the same thing. So the story that I used to have about my history, when I look back in my younger life, I had a really harsh story of my 20s. The story that I had was that I was a fuck up, that I drank like a fish, that I smoked like a freight train, and that I went out to gay bars like it was my full-time job. And there's some truth to that, but there was a lot of judgment in that. And it didn't give me a lot of credit for the strength that I had. It also didn't give me credit for the obstacles that I had faced up to and during that time. So let me talk about how I got to celebrating my history and becoming proud of my history. So I think part of it was acknowledging the painful things that I was dealing with at that time. So I was dealing with a childhood and young adulthood where I had been bombarded with messages that who I was wrong and sinful. I was dealing with being estranged from my family in a time when I needed them a lot. And I was dealing with not thinking very highly of myself and attracting relationships in my life of people who affirmed that message for me. So when I'm able to look back at that time with that perspective and look at all of the things that I was dealing with, I can see the second part, which is I was doing the best that I could at that time. That I can only know what I know when I know it. I didn't know at that time, I didn't have the resources, I hadn't been taught the resources at that time of how to take care of myself in a healthier way, how to see myself as different and separate from my family of origins beliefs and a lot of the societal beliefs that I had been around. So I was really doing the best that I could in that time. I think the third part has been learning to look at myself now and look at my history with grace and with compassion. So that judgmental piece of, I was a real fuck up in my 20s, I can't believe that without believing that there's some part of me that is still that way or is susceptible to being that way or is broken. And if I can transform that into a compassionate viewpoint, which is I was doing the best that I could given the resources that I had, that starts to transform how I see the core of who I am, and it starts to transform that pain and that judgment into pride and something to be celebrated, that I made it through some very difficult obstacles. I did it with some creativity, some ingenuity. It was a little bit messy. It wasn't a linear path to where I have ended up and where I'm going. But I was pretty resourceful, if I do say so myself. And maybe it wasn't a cute look at the time, but I really was doing the best that I could. And I got to where I'm going. So the process of what this looked like, it happened over many years. It happened through really great, close, affirmative friendships. It happened through difficult conversations with family. It happened through professional help, through therapy and coaching. And it happened with time and giving myself time and learning to care about myself and giving myself that space. So now I can look back at my history through a totally different lens. I can look back at the young boy who owned his sassiness and who owned his sensitivity. And I'm able to look at the late teenager who chose love even though that meant disappointing his family and dishonoring his family at that time. And I look at a young man who was doing the best that he could, who worked really, really hard to get where he was going, to earn money, to take care of himself, and to create a really great group of friends. And now I can celebrate that person, and there's healing in that. Sir Isaac Newton is quoted as saying, "We stand on the shoulders of giants," and that's certainly true in the LGBTQ community. From the well-known activists to the unsung heroes, the thing that those folks have in common are that they were living authentically and that they were doing the best that they could in the circumstances that they were in at the time. So if we are all one, what would it look like if we view ourselves as part of the movement of creating a world that's better for the next generations? What if we look at our histories as something that we can transform the pain and the struggle and the obstacles into meaning and purpose and empowering ourselves and our community? Wherever you are in your relationship with yourself and your sexuality, for everyone who's doing the best that they can in the circumstances that they are in, you deserve to be celebrated. So celebrate yourself. I celebrate you, my community, this month and always. I'm really glad that you joined me today. Happy Pride Month to all of you. If you are enjoying these videos, I invite you to give them a thumbs up and subscribe. If you click on the little notification bell next to the subscribe button, then YouTube will notify you anytime a new video comes out. I'd also love if you share this with people who are part of your community and who you would like to be part of this community. So thanks again for joining me. Happy Pride Month. I'll see you next time.